What's up, guys? My name is Kyle and I make guitar gear related videos here on YouTube. And today I wanted to talk about why you shouldn't listen to people who make guitar related videos on YouTube. Let's do it. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, as I said in the intro, and welcome to Belligerent Studios. What I do here is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. But today I wanted to take a page out of my pal Henning Pauly's book and sit down and record a little bit of a rant video. God knows that that's the only video that Henning's putting out these days that gets any sort of views. Love you, Henning. I want to start right off the top by saying this is not a personal attack against any one creator. It is simply inspired by a particular creator, and it's just an observation of basically the effect that content creators and influencers have on the communities that they exist within. I'm sure many people will take some of the things that I say out of context and misrepresent what it is that I'm saying. I fully expect that to happen, but really this is just basically for a point of discussion and a reminder to think for yourselves and form your own opinions based off of your own experiences. This is not a drama channel. I am not a content cop. I have no desire to be one of those things or attract that type of audience in any way. So keep that in mind. So this morning, as I typically do when I am getting ready for the day, I had some YouTube videos on in the background while I was getting my foster kid ready for school. I was feeding my dogs. That's kind of my normal morning routine, is to just browse YouTube, throw some videos from some other guitar related content creators up in the background and kind of listen and absorb what I can. And there are a couple reasons for that. Number one, I just love guitar gear related content, so I'm always listening to new stuff and trying to absorb some information that maybe I didn't previously know. And number two, I'm kind of curious to see what everybody is talking about in the guitar space on YouTube, because in a lot of cases, the bigger creators in the space really set the tone for what the audience is going to be looking for and what is being talked about in the guitar gear space on this platform. And one of the most prevalent people in the space when it comes to that exact thing is Glenn Fricker of Spectre Sound Studios. Now, Glenn and I are actually friends in real life. We've spent time hanging out together at 42 Gear Street. We've hung out at Sweetwater Guitar Fest, and we've had a lot of conversations about guitar gear. And honestly, we don't always agree. In fact, we don't agree very often on a lot of things, but yet we still remain friends, or at the very least, friendly acquaintances, because we are two adult men that know how to disagree on a subject such as guitar gear and not somehow want to cut each other's heads off. A lesson that a lot of people could probably learn these days, because it seems like people think that if someone disagrees with you on a trivial subject such as adult man toys, that they are now your mortal enemy. But yeah, anyways, Glenn posted a video this morning, and the primary topic of that video was that parametric EQs are a great tone shaping tool when it comes to getting the tone of your amplifier to be more precise to what it is that you actually want. A topic that I have covered on my channel before, and a topic I am 100% in agreement with. But that's not the reason that I'm making this video. The reason that I'm making this video is a few minutes into that video, Glenn starts talking about the Mark II C+ amplifier from Mesa Boogie, an amp that is widely regarded as one of the best, if not the best, high gain amplifiers of all time. And as Glenn is talking about that amplifier, he's talking about it in the context of it being an amazing high gain on paper, but when it comes to actually using it, it kind of sucks.
Now here's the thing about the 2C+, it actually kind of sucks. On paper, it should have been the ultimate metal amp. Stupid amounts of gain, a 5-band graphic EQ, and enough aggression to eviscerate a mix. But in reality, it's kind of like the power glove of guitar amps. It looks like the ultimate weapon until you actually try using it. This is not the sound I'm looking for. What the actual fuck? Where the hell is the Metallica sound?
Now, whether an amplifier is good or not is 100% a subjective opinion to each individual person who uses it. Because let's face it, if we all thought that the same amplifiers were amazing, or the same guitar tones were amazing, we would all be using the same exact gear, everybody would sound exactly the same, and neither Glenn or myself would have a job because there would be no gear to cover in the guitar world because nobody would be producing new gear. That variety exists for a reason, and it's because so many people have different tastes as to what they like and to what they think sounds good or what accomplishes their tonal goal or their musical goal. But the reason that that statement from Glenn has me feeling some type of way is not because he feels that way. He can feel that way all he wants. Again, 100% subjective, totally fine. The problem is he kind of states it somewhat as a fact. The Mark IIc Plus sucks. And the main issue that I have with that is that he's not stating it as an opinion, so the many loyal followers that he has on his channel are going to take that as a fact, and they're going to run around, and everybody that they talk to, they're going to say,
yeah, Mark IIc Plus amplifier sucks.
But the problem is, they've never tried that amplifier for themselves. They have absolutely no personal experience with that amplifier, but yet they're gonna walk around parroting their favorite content creator and frankly making themselves look like an idiot to people who are actually willing to call them out or willing to ask them, oh, what experience do you have with that amp? And because people can't seem to be disagreed with online without losing their minds, it will then devolve into a shit show argument where insults will be thrown and in a lot of cases, physical threats will be threatened. You know what I mean? So the whole reason for this rant video is just for me to tell you something that I have been saying since the very first month that I started my YouTube channel 4 years ago. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to what I am saying and take it as your own opinion or as fact. Don't do that with Glenn. Don't do that with Christian Cola. Don't do it with anybody. You should only be stating your opinions on your experience with a piece of gear, not something that some stupid talking head like myself has to say, because chances are your opinion is probably going to differ from mine. Your opinion might differ from Glenn's. Your taste might differ from mine or differ from Glenn's, in which case that's going to give you a different outcome when you try a piece of gear that Glenn or I talk about. Unfortunately, that's not really the case. Like, I've talked to more people that I can count that'll say something about an amplifier and I'll say, oh, really? You feel that way? Did you try it? And they'll say, no, but I heard this YouTuber talk about it. No, I heard this studio engineer talk about it. No, I heard this producer talk about it. But they haven't tried it for themselves. The reason that I take this to heart so much is when I was coming up in the guitar gear scene long before I had my YouTube channel and long before there were really a bunch of good demos of certain amplifiers, certain speakers, certain pedals, on YouTube, I was left to forums where you would only get people's words, their opinions, and you wouldn't get any sort of tonal examples for the most part. So therefore, that's all you had to go on if you never played a certain piece of gear. And there are so many pieces of gear that I have acquired over the years that I have heard nothing but bad things about in those forums that I came up in, that for me personally, in my opinion, couldn't have been further from the truth. Pretty much every classic PV amplifier got poo-pooed on in the forums back in the day. The VTM, the Ultra Series, even the Bandit. And I have since acquired and tried all those amplifiers for myself. And in my personal opinion, those are all awesome amplifiers. And honestly, because we have more people creating YouTube demos on amplifiers like that and kind of showing what they can actually sound like, I feel like a lot of those early opinions from those forums have kind of turned around. Those amplifiers are all pretty much now revered. And I partially think that's because some people have made YouTube videos on those amplifiers and kind of inspired people to go out and try those amps for themselves and realized, hey, these actually are pretty good. Again, subjective, but I think you guys can see the point that I'm trying to make. So yeah, when I see a YouTuber, when I see a peer of mine, Glenn's not really a peer, he's above me. His channel is way bigger. He has a way bigger reach. I'm not here to deny that. I definitely know that he does, and he's worked for it. But when I see somebody in a position like that and see them state something that is subjective as objective, it honestly does kind of burn me up a little bit, because now I know that the thousands and thousands of people who are going to watch his video, a lot of them are going to take that as a fact, and they're going to come into everybody's comment sections on YouTube and start arguing with people in the comments that, well, Glenn said this. Or a lot of the times they won't say Glenn said this, but they will use his exact words because they don't have the ability to do something that Glenn tells his audience to do in almost every video, and that is think for themselves. Think for yourselves, guys. I understand not everybody has the opportunity to try a lot of this gear that a lot of us guys here on YouTube talk about. I totally get that, but what that means is you shouldn't walk around having a concrete, solid opinion about something that you've never played before. You can say, I heard Kyle Bowles say this about a certain piece of gear. Don't state it as a fact.
Say, yeah, I heard Kyle Bowles say this about a piece of gear, but, you know, I don't know if it's true. I never played it for myself.
And number one, you're not gonna look stupid. And number two, well, maybe you might look a little bit stupid if you're talking about me. Number two, in a lot of situations, you're gonna talk to somebody else who has had that piece of gear and has tried it and has experience with it, and they may be able to enlighten you about it a little bit, and they may inspire you to try a piece of gear that you weren't previously interested in. That's happened to me more times than I can count. So yeah, that's just the basis of this video, guys. When I say don't listen to what YouTubers say about gear, I mean, don't take what we are saying as facts. Try something for yourself. Form your own opinions off of your own experience. I make these videos to help. I make my videos, and I started my channel to give demos and sound samples of amplifiers that I felt were underrepresented in the online community, in the YouTube guitar community, because people were constantly asking me how they sound, but I have a very specific tone that I typically go for. I have a specific style of playing, and I have my own opinions. And most of what I say about those amplifiers, while I try to tell you guys what it is that I'm hearing in the room, if I like something or dislike something, that's just my opinion. That's not a fact. And I see a lot of people getting really mad at me and mad at other YouTubers for not liking their favorite piece of gear. But in reality, we are just stating our opinions based on our taste and our experience with that piece of gear. So yeah, I'm getting long-winded as I usually do in these talking head videos, but just wanted to say, think for yourselves, guys. Do what Glenn tells you to do, and that you should be thinking for yourselves, that you should not be listening to him or I or anybody else when you're forming your opinions. You can certainly take it as advice, but don't form a concrete opinion on something and go around parroting that opinion if you've never had experience with a piece of gear. I can tell you from personal experience, number one, you're gonna look stupid. And number two, you're gonna lose out on some opportunities to try some really, really cool stuff if you're only listening to what people tell you about something as opposed to actually going out and trying it for yourselves. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm curious to hear your opinions on what it is that I have to say. I'm sure some people will completely misrepresent or misinterpret what I'm saying and take this as an attack on Glenn, when in reality, it is just kind of a reminder to think for yourselves and use a little bit of critical thinking when you're talking about this stuff or when you're talking about anything, frankly. But leave those comments down below. Really excited to hear from you guys on this. And that's it. This was a quick off the top rant, and I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hit that like button if you liked it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Kyle here again. We'll see you next time. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.